Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Casper Network, aka Casper the Friendly Ghost. And before we jump on in, I just want to ask guys, have been enjoying the overall Casper content, as well as all the content that I do upload? Definitely hit that like button, subscribe, and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. Over 50% of you are not subscribed, which is absolutely crazy. Also, comment down below how long you guys have been holding Casper for. I personally have been holding Casper since last, like we're going back almost a year and a half now, to like roughly around like the October timeframe, the summer timeframe of 2021. It has been a very exciting time to be holding Casper. I do believe that this is going to be one of my longest held tokens, simply because I believe in the future around Casper so much, as you guys are probably all aware of. If you have been a long-term watcher of the channel, then you are probably aware that I have been accumulating Casper for so long, and it is my #1 token in terms of my holdings. So with that, right, we are nearing the 100,000 holders tab, or historical, time frame announcement, if you will. We've been watching it closely, right? 99,888. Now, this is not a number that I look at and I'm like, okay, this makes me so bullish. No. In fact, I think that when we look at it being under 100,000 holders, it just shares to you guys how early we are. Which, yeah, technically, I guess you could say makes me bullish. I mean, when we really kind of look at how early we are on Casper, and we go over to like the rich list, for an example, looking at the rich list definitely puts it into perspective just how early we are, because I think even the top, we've looked at this in the past. I know that this is going to take a while, but when we go to like the top 500 holders, we are barely scratching the surface at like $100,000 for the top 500. And you guys might be like questioning me, like, what do you mean, Nick? Like that's crazy. No, it's the fact that like when you go look at like Ethereum, go look at like the top wallets holding Ethereum or XRP or QNT or any of these like. I don't want to say mainstream tokens, because like QNT is not really mainstream. I'm just saying like the most overhyped tokens in this game, the most well-known tokens in this game as well. A lot of their top 500 are holding like $1 million plus. But like you could see here that I'm at halfway, and some of the top wallets here are holding like $55,000 worth of Casper. When we go over here to like the top 500, they're holding less than like $30,000 worth of Casper, which I'm not saying like that's like a low amount. Trust me, like for most people, $30,000 is life-changing. But when we look at that compared to some of the most top-tier tokens, it just shares with you how early we are. I mean, like there's going to be whales buying tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands worth of Casper in the dollar amounts, and it's just insane to me how early we are. And by the way, here you guys have the top 500 address holding about $30,222 worth of Casper, about 1 million Casper. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Now let's actually talk about something that I seen come up on my timeline, and I really do want to address it, and I want to put a spotlight on it, because I think that a lot of people are kind of confusing the overall inflation rate of Casper. So I've told you guys many times in the past, if you want to invest in Casper, please be aware that Casper has an 8% year-over-year inflation, and it does not have a max supply. I'm very transparent on this. A lot of people argue to me and say, dude, what about like tokenomics? Aren't you worried about that? No. I really do think that tokenomics is an area in this space that gets a little bit, how should I put it? It gets a little bit complex for some people, because they think that the lower the token supply, the much better the hold is. Now listen, I've always loved to look at scarcity in this game. It's the #1 reason why I love QNT so much, because I do think that the QNT supply is perfect for what they are trying to do. But when we look at Casper having the supply that it has, having the inflation that it has, I'm totally fine with it, because what they are targeting is going to demand a large portion of that supply, which is totally fine to me. Do I think that it stifles the overall price action? I think that it stifles the price action if too much gets released at one singular time. A perfect example of this is HBAR from 2021's run. If we have, again, a set 8% year over year, then I'm totally fine with it, because again, we won't see price action stifled. But we do see, here's why it's important to use several sources when researching a project. Out to the X Frontier over on Twitter for this. There's false info out there for a myriad of reasons: manipulation, FUD, or maybe even just honest mistakes. Casper does not have a 246.78% yearly inflation. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of laughable. And also shout out to Days85 for bringing this up. But if you guys look at this on coincodex.com, you will see the overall price of Casper. And then on the second slide, when you look at the description, you see that the current yearly supply rate is 246.68%, meaning 7.49 billion Casper were created in the last year. This is absolutely insane. So, yes, this is wrong. Obviously, if you go over to Casper's website, they're very transparent on the tokenomics of Casper, so you guys can learn all about that. But when we really kind of look at Casper, I look at the power and the potential behind it. I don't really care about tokenomics all that much when I look at Casper. Again, I already know the tokenomics, so there's no need for me to, look through, these crazy tweets about like how terrible Casper is because of tokenomics. I see a lot of you even comment on the channel whenever I talk about Casper in terms of like tokenomics. Tokenomics, for enterprise-grade applications, they're going to be high. I'm just going to be honest with you. XRP is a perfect example of this. XLM, Algorand. I mean, some of the top-tier tokens in the top 10, top 25, top 50 are all pretty high tokenomic projects. Now, yes, like I said, I still do hold Q&T because I love the supply ratio on it for what they are targeting, and I don't think that it demands a massive amount of supply, but some of these other tokens do. But we do see from Kevin Cage, Layer 1 smart contract platforms are exciting because the scope of potential use case is massive. ETH, its EVM, and its entire ecosystem have inspired many other networks. At the same time, this makes the Layer 1 space hyper-competitive and oversaturated. And yes, I always look at like the competitiveness around the space. Like, there's a ton of Layer 1s. There's a ton of them. Listen, I've talked about the Layer 1 networks in this space before. I do think that there's a large portion of them that are just completely useless. But when we look at the overall DLTs and we look at the apps that are being built out on DLTs, there's a ton of industries that could benefit from a ton of the massive use cases being built. And here's a few of them, as you guys do see, like cross-border payments, for example, real estate, stuff like that. Some of the biggest ones out there. And it goes on and on and on. Smart contracts definitely are the huge opportunity. In fact, I think that smart contracts will be the thing that powers a ton of enterprise-grade applications. And when we look at this, right, we look at the Layer 1 smart contract platforms that will survive and thrive. Sorry, guys. Hero or zero for many. I'm hoping for a multi-chain future. So yeah, I'm hoping for a multi-chain future as well. I do think that that's what we will see. Interoperability will 100% be key. In my opinion, when we look at Layer 1 ecosystems that are extremely efficient, Casper always comes up. You guys know me. I love Casper so much, and the reason why is because of the tech behind it, the team behind it, the building that's happening, their goals, their overall vision. Everything that we have seen from Casper and the Casper team has been incredible so far. Which always gives me a little bit of a confidence behind my investments, which I always love to see. I mean, like, listen, who doesn't love reassurance? If you're investing into something, you want to be reassured that that investment is safe. And the best way to do that is not to go over on Twitter and type in Casper and look at all the tweets, because again, that's the worst way. The best way is to just focus on the team. Focus on what they are building, what they are doing. Listen into the events. Listen into the AMAs. Answer some questions that you have. Maybe there's something that concerns you. Casper supply, for an example. During an AMA, you could ask those questions. This is like the best time to be a part of this space. And it's the best time to avoid just like what most people are saying about these projects, because it's most likely going to be bearish at times where price action kind of sucks. But we do see what makes Casper unique. Shout out to Tokenizer. Tokenizer is an incredible individual, especially for a ton of information on projects like Casper. And we do see with the abundance and saturation in the layer 1 space, real enterprise grade projects need something to separate themselves from the pack. This is where a lot of the game-changing technology advancements that Casper has made in the past and the team that, behind it that have developed these really comes into place. Now, again, tokenomics for utility tokens make sense, 100%. So listen closely to this.
So what makes Casper Network unique? With all the layer 1 platforms out there, they're really a dime a dozen, and you've got to separate yourself from the rest of the pack from projects like Solana, Ethereum, AVAX, Cardano, etc. So the 3 main points that I believe make Casper unique are 1. CBC Casper and their Ghost protocol. We already touched up on CBC Casper in our introduction. It's basically a way to give variability to finality as the network itself grows. And the Ghost protocol is something we'll cover more of in the deep dive, but in short, it enables all validators to play more of a distributed and even role. 2. The connections in their team and operations they're forming with them. From their work on hybrid networks between permission and permissionless systems with Hyperledger and IBM, to their work with BSN China to build an open public permissioned adaptation of Casper for Fuzhou. And 3. This one may be controversial, but their tokenomics actually makes sense for a utility network. There's a fixed inflation rate, so unlike fiat, it's predictable versus the latter that could have low inflation for years to come and suddenly spike up to as high as 40% as we saw during the pandemic. So the inflation actually incentivizes users to partake in the Casper ecosystem, eventually raising the value of the entire network.
And yes, that's one thing that I didn't tell you guys. Like the 8% year-over-year inflation rate is fixed, and this is what I kind of made. I was trying to talk about it with HBAR. HBAR, they kind of killed price action a little bit and stifled it. But when we look at tokenomics for these enterprise-grade utility tokens, like they make sense. A lot of people want like if Casper wasn't going after these big, massive use cases, I would be concerned. But listen, they're building out these use cases already. You have these people in this space that think that a token having... We'll just make a hypothetical situation. Okay, this token has 10,000 coins out there in supply. Now, say for so, the price of the token is $100. The team holds maybe, we'll say, we'll just say an estimate of 1,000, right? And this is off of a 10,000 supply token. You could do a 100,000 supply token. You could do a million supply token. It does not matter. Going off a 10,000 supply is the perfect range for this, because then you only have 10 people that can hold 1,000 each. But what if you have one individual that holds 5,000, and then you have 5 other individuals holding 1,000 each? That one person controls over 50% of the supply, making it extremely centralized. With these tokens like Casper, yes, you could hold a large portion of them. Like I said, there's a lot of people that hold a million plus of Casper, but considering the fact that there's quite a bit of it, it allows for the network to be still decentralized in its entirety, because not a lot of people are going to hold a billion plus Casper, for an example. I mean, even on the first page, right? This is the main Casper wallet, and then after this, we have a few other ones. Some of these, yes, these are most likely people that are extremely wealthy, but to hold a billion Casper, you need $30 million, which I'm just gonna say right now, most people probably don't have $30 million right now sitting around. But again, if you do, I mean, maybe Casper is the choice for you. But I'm just saying, when we look at tokenomics, yes, a lot of people just kind of put way too much pressure on tokenomics, and they avoid projects like Casper. In my opinion, when we look at Casper's price action, I have it over here. Yes, we are still at some peak resistance here, but we're still in an accumulation zone. Pretty nice, in my opinion. Go back to long-term growth here. Again, I focused on the price that I feel very, very confident on. If we are still at this range, you're still looking at 130x opportunity to some of the high prices up there. Again, I think that Casper is one of those tokens that a lot of people are just avoiding, mainly because of the supply, maybe, or maybe they just don't know about it. I've been talking about Casper so long because of the upside potential on this thing. Smart contracts, in my opinion, are going to be the future of the enterprise grade sector. I do also believe that when we look at the enterprise grade sector, they're not going to go after projects like ADA. They're not going to go after projects like Solana. They're not going to go after Ethereum. I think that when we look at the overall enterprise grade adoption cycle right now, yes, a lot of spotlight is on Ethereum, simply because Ethereum has been out for so long. They built the connections, they know what they were doing, but at the end of the day, we know how inefficient it is. With that inefficiency, I do think that, yes, very similar to what Kevin Cage is saying, yes, an overall ecosystem that is multi-chain is the big key, and it is going to be a big key for a lot of these major players like Casper, like XRP, like Algorand, like XLM, etc., to continue to thrive and build out these incredible applications and be adopted in massively from the enterprise grade sector. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this before. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.